Lessons in why I can never have a child. So my best friend just called me and said, your goddaughter just got detention and it's your fault. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, she texted me and she said, Uncle Mikey, I need your advice. And she told me the basic story that we've all heard or experienced, that there was a group of mean girls that were picking on her. Now, I thought I gave her sound advice. But as it turns out, yesterday, the girls were passing a note about her. And she snatched it up and in front of the class went, ew, spreading rumors about me? Aw, at least you have a hobby spreading something other than your legs. Reason number 78 why I should never have kids. So last week, my goddaughter had a talent show at school and she decided to perform. Now, she's a very shy girl, so I was just proud of her for getting up there and doing it. So she calls me and she says, Uncle Mikey, I need some advice. It turns out those mean girls are still picking on her. And apparently at their dress rehearsal, they were making fun of her because she decided to read some of the poetry that she had written. She said they called her boring and a nerd. I said, well, what are those little bitches doing? She said they were dressed up like showgirls and were doing a dance routine. I said, bitch, they are not showgirls. They are hoes dressed up like flamingos. So she calls me Friday night after the talent show's over and says that people liked her poetry. I said, well, I'm proud of you. She goes, that's not why I'm calling. I'm calling to tell you that right before the girls went on for their number, I walked up and said, you're not a showgirl. You're just a slutty big bird. Lessons why I should never have children. Y'all, the saga of my goddaughter continues. So the viral videos that I've made of her have brought on some haterade from these middle school bitches. And apparently she has this one friend who's kind of like on the outskirts of the friend group. So anyway, she calls me the other night and she says, Uncle Mikey, I need some advice. There's this girl and sometimes she's really nice to me and other times she's really mean to me and I just don't know what to do about it. I said, Bean, that is classic frenemy. Just listen to your inner petty voice and just say something like, for being so unbothered, you sure do seem bothered. Or, it must suck having to watch me be the shit, huh? Anyway, her mom just called me and said, apparently this girl called my goddaughter a slut yesterday. And she apparently responded, oh, shut up. 1 week you love me, the next week you hate me. Both weeks your boyfriend Snapchatted me. Lessons why I should never have kids. Y'all, my goddaughter is gonna single-handedly destroy these menses. So yesterday was my goddaughter's first day of high school, so I called her to see how it went. She said, good, I took your advice on never letting a man make me feel bad about myself. Oh, shit. Apparently, some kid in her class came up to her and said, I see you still didn't grow boobs this summer. She said, yeah, and being a dick won't make yours any bigger. You're like a miniature horse. Cute, but useless. I said, Bean! Apparently the little twerp said, whatever, someday you'll beg for this. Ew. She said, no, someday a girl is gonna tell her therapist about you. Lessons in not fucking crossing a gay man. Last night, my goddaughter calls me sobbing. So my goddaughter's father is a fucking disaster, which is one of the biggest reasons why I'm such a presence in her life. And yesterday, he was supposed to pick her up and take her out because he hasn't seen her in 2 months. And he was a no call, no show. I talked to her for a little while and I said, you know what, Bean, let me get a plane ticket and I'll come see you soon. But then I called her dad. He answers, hello? I said, oh, well, you're still breathing and alive, so there's no reason why you have not hung out with your daughter today. And then this 34-year-old man gives me a grocery list of why his life sucks and why he couldn't afford it. I got fired from my job, my car doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. And then you know what he did? Asked me for money. I said, bro, you literally live with your mom. And then he told me that the universe is giving him the raw end of the deal and he deserves a break. I said, what makes you think you're so unique? The universe does not give a fuck about you. The universe does not give a fuck about me. What you are suffering from are your own poor life choices. Instead of blaming mommy and daddy or the universe or a random zodiac sign because you happen to be born in the month of June. Yeah, he's a Gemini. You need to realize that the most abusive relationship that you're in is with yourself. Grow up and be a man. Then he said, what would you know about being a man, F-slur? I said, well, I may not have made a child, but I'm raising yours. I've had so many questions asking how my goddaughter is doing after my video yesterday where she was disappointed with her father yet again. And y'all, the nugget of wisdom that she dropped today. So I circled back around, picking up the pieces of his lack of follow-through. And at one point in our conversation, she said, I just don't know why Dad doesn't want to hang out with me. I said, Bean, I know it seems like he doesn't want to hang out with you, but I promise that's not the case. I said, your dad has always felt overwhelmed by the fact that he feels it necessary to make a huge contribution to the world and to his life that he forgets to live in the moment. And as a result, his defense mechanism is to just throw his hands up. And this little girl says to me on the phone, so I guess that means that I should feel empathy for him, that he struggles with his own self-worth, but that it's not my responsibility to accept his neglect and abuse. I said, I'm sorry, when did you get 47 years old? Lessons why I should never have children. Yo, why is my goddaughter so much cooler than me? So I called Bean last night to catch up and see how she was doing. She said, good, but boys are so annoying. Girl, duh. So apparently she was walking down the hallway and some boy she doesn't know got in front of her and said, hey baby, you know you can't walk by me in a skirt like that and not stop to say hello. Ew. She apparently replied, hi, you probably should have started with, hello, my name is blank, nice to meet you. I am not flattered by boys simply being physically attracted to me. Thanks, but move. He didn't move. He said, damn girl, what's the queen without her king? Again. Ew. She said, well, historically speaking, more powerful. He said, fuck girl, you play too much. She said, fuck boy, you breathe too much. Shut the fuck up. Lessons in not crossing a teenage girl. So I called my goddaughter Bean the other night to ask her what she wanted for her birthday. And while we're talking, she said, I need a good insult for an old person. I asked her why, and she said, just 'cause. So I was like, I don't know. I think the word prehistoric is funny. So anyway, I called her last night, again, to follow up on the birthday plans. And she said, Uncle Mikey, I took your advice. Huh? She said, my bus driver commented on my outfit again. But apparently, she looked at him and said, yuck, I'm 14 years old. I tell you to take a big step back, but I can see you've already taken an evolutionary one. You literally look like you're on the verge of discovering fire. Ew. Then I was like, immediately put your grandmother on the phone. But damn. Lessons in not crossing a teenage girl. Y'all, I just got off the phone with my goddaughter Bean and bitch. So I just called her and I asked, have you been behaving? Short answer is no. She said, Uncle Mikey, do you ever feel like being the bigger person's just overrated? Yeah, every single fucking day. I said, girl, what happened? She said there's this mean girl, Heather, who's not nice to her because her boyfriend and Bean were partners together on a fucking project. I said, ew. Girl on girl crime over some stupid boy is never cute. She said, I know, but we were passing each other in the hallway today and she looked at me and went, skank. She said, but I turned around and I said, girl, just because you got one of those faces where a guy zooms in and then quickly zooms the fuck back out is not my problem. Don't take it out on me. And the girl went, whatever, you're not popular. And Bean said, well, enjoy your popularity now and your career selling Herbalife later. Lessons in not crossing a teenage girl. Y'all, my goddaughter chose violence to ring in the new year. So I just called my goddaughter Bean to wish her a happy new year and ask her what she did last night. And she said, Uncle Mikey, you know how they say girls mature faster than boys? Well, I just can't wait for them to catch up. I said, oh honey, that's a myth. Boys do not mature or get smarter. You will just continually lower your expectations of them. Anyway, she went to a party last night and she said that there was an older boy from her school who was continually harassing her. He kept on trying to give her alcohol, even though she continually said no, and he was very handsy like this was a fucking episode of Euphoria. And apparently at one point he cornered her in a hallway. and apparently said, "Hey girl, you know why we have so many classes together?" And she looked at him and said, "Because you got all D's and F's last year and you have to take them over?" He said, "Damn, girl, no. Fate. I had a dream that you were going to be my girl." She said, "A dream? You're like if Martin Luther King had a nightmare, bitch. Aren't you like almost 20? I am 14. You should be asking the lunch lady to prom because you're closer to her age than you are to mine." Ew. Lessons in not crossing a teenage girl. Y'all, my goddaughter Bean went back to school after the break and bitch. I asked her how her new classes are going and she said, "Good, but that girl who was being mean to me before is still up my ass." Oh, shit. And she said today at lunch, that girl in front of all of their friends asked her what she got for Christmas, knowing damn well that the only reason Bean's even at that school is because her and her mom lost everything in the hurricanes in Florida a couple months ago and things are fucking tight. But Bean confidently and proudly said she got to see her mom, which is all she wanted. And the girl said, "That's embarrassing. My mom got me a Balenciaga hoodie." And Bean said, "Well, you can put on a designer label, but you'll still be like if Forever 21 started making people." And the girl said, "Aw, she's bitter because she's poor." And my goddaughter said, "I'm confused. You can afford a designer hoodie, but you can't afford Clearasil?" And then she said the girl stood up and yelled, "Nobody likes you." And my goddaughter said, "Well, I don't see anybody jumping to your defense either. So maybe you should swallow your words, just like you're swallowing those leggings." Lessons in not crossing a teenage girl. So my goddaughter Bean is being cyber-bullied. So Bean got some fake clip-in nose rings, and it apparently sent some emo girl who looks like she lost a fight with a stapler into a fucking spiral, bitch. And this really unique alternative girl made a whole ass Instagram page about Bean using her old photos to try to embarrass her and named it something like "Bean's a fake ass bitch." But my goddaughter, being the confident badass that she is, went up to the girl and confronted her and said, "What is your problem?" And the girl said, "You're so fake trying to look cool. The whole school hates you." But Bean said, "Bitch, your face looks like a neglected tackle box," which is probably why nobody's trying to tackle your box. But the girl tried to go even lower and said, "Whatever, not even your mom wants you. That's why she sent you here." Again, I'll remind you that Bean and her mom lost everything in the hurricane in Florida, and she was sent to her grandma's house to live for the time being, bitch. I'll slap a kid. But Bean said, "You can say whatever you want about my mother, because you've never met her, and you're just wrong. But I have met your mom. Chain smoking in the pickup line? Yeah, it's crazy that she's like, what, 35 and already looks like a dehydrated apricot." Story time on how men are disgusting fucking pigs. So I've made a handful of videos on social media that have gone viral about my goddaughter, who we call Bean. And she is smart and has an attitude and is compassionate, so I'm constantly getting comments like yours. "We need a Bean reveal. Bean needs her own page. Yay, Bean." And these stories about her have sparked an enormous amount of confidence in this girl. Now, the reason I tell the stories about my goddaughter is because she is under her mom's thumb when it comes to social media. If there's a restriction, it's turned on. But Bean went to her mom and pleaded her case that she would have full control over her social media. So her mom called me and we talked about it, and we were like, she's responsible. She's in high school now. She's 14, and all of her other friends have their pages, so why not? Big fucking mistake. She got full control of her own social media on Monday. And yesterday, Wednesday, it was taken away. Not because she was using it inappropriately or looking up accounts that she shouldn't have been looking up, but because in less than 48 hours, she went to her mom with the concern that she had multiple comments from adult, grown-ass men commenting on her body and her appearance. And one man who sent her multiple voice messages while he was taking care of himself. You know, one of my friends on here on TikTok is doing a whole series on this. And I thought, my gosh, I couldn't even imagine. And it literally took less than 48 hours for it to happen to my goddaughter. So this is your sign to check in on your kids and see what's going on their phone, because these men are fucking pigs. Lessons in not crossing a teenage girl. I just called my goddaughter Bean and bitch. So she said today at school, a boy who used to date one of her friends asked her if she would be his girlfriend. And she said, no, that would be really shitty of me. Well, we know how boys typically can't process rejection. And he responded with, damn, girl, well, can I at least get an OF pick? You'd be a good girl for revenge corn. I was like, what did you say to that? And she said to him, you know that feeling when you buy a bag of chips from the store thinking that you got salt and vinegar, but when you get home, you realize that you weren't paying attention and you got plain chips. And now you don't want to go through the hassle of going all the way back to the store, so you just eat the plain chips. But you're not happy, like not fully happy. That's what dating you probably feels like. And she said all his little friends were like, damn! So with his bruised ego, he says, whatever, your attitude really brings out your ugly. And she said, okay, well, your complexion really brings out the yellow in your teeth. So, bye. Lessons in not crossing a teenage girl. My goddaughter got detention today. Today in her English class, they had a substitute teacher, and we all know how kids are when there's a substitute. And this girl that she does not get along with was texting all of the other kids in class a picture of a butt crack that she found online, saying that it was my goddaughter Beans sitting in front of her. And my goddaughter finds out and turns around to the girl and says, hey, methadone Mandy, get a better hobby than being such a fan of mine. And this girl was like, what the fuck is methadone? And Bean just saying, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's methamphetamine. Well, the male teacher heard her and said, pretty girls like you shouldn't say dirty things like that. And Bean said, why? And he said, how are you going to get a husband or a good job if you present an ugly version of yourself? Hello, 1954 caller? And she said, you'll have to excuse me if this comes off as ugly, but what makes you think I would take relationship advice from a 40-year-old substitute teacher with halitosis? He said, excuse me? She said, oh, sorry. Let me say it in a way you would understand. If you were a Pokemon, your weakness would be soap. Don't worry. The first 40 years of childhood are the hardest. You'll get a girlfriend and a real job soon. So kids aren't allowed to talk about school shooters in school. I talked to my goddaughter Bean today, and she said her grandmother has to go into school to have a meeting with her history teacher and the principal. Yesterday in history class, Bean brought up the recent shooting in Nashville. And her teacher said, we are not talking about this nonsense in class. My goddaughter said, it is not nonsense that we are dying. And shouldn't we be talking about these kinds of things in history class, if any, so, it doesn't fucking repeat itself? And then her fucking dinosaur of a teacher said, you won't go anywhere in life if you just believe what you're told and can't form your own opinions. Bean replied, so burying my head in the sand and pretending like uncomfortable things aren't happening like you do, I can get to where you are in life? No thanks. The bags under your eyes could carry my books, so not interested. Her teacher said, you are walking a thin line, young lady. Bean said, well, then let me step all the way over it for you. I may not go anywhere in life, but you've already missed your calling. I mean, you have the face of a sweet old teacher, but the upper arms of a lunch lady. Grandma is looking forward to this meeting. Y'all, my goddaughter's grandmother roasted her teacher. In case you missed it, she got called into school to have a meeting with my goddaughter's history teacher and principal after an argument in class. Well, yesterday was the meeting, and it turns out she went to school with that history teacher. The conversation started to get heated, and Grandma said, I don't care what my granddaughter said to you. You are the teacher, and at no point should you ever tell your students they aren't going anywhere in life. Miss Teacher replied back, well, your granddaughter is getting a reputation for being a troublemaker. There are rules at this school, and if she is too woke to follow them, then maybe she needs to find another one. Granny said, "Oh, you're one to talk about reputation, Cindy. After you made your way through the entire baseball team, we all just assumed that you'd become the town harlot and have a permanent place on a bar stool. Come on, Bean, we're leaving." And she gets to the door and she turns around and said, "Oh, and one more thing. Do you remember that time in 11th grade when you got with my boyfriend and the entire school started to call you Slurp? I started that." And then she slammed the door. Hi, can we get some of you dads to talk to your sons? Y'all, my goddaughter Bean had to school this boy in her class this weekend. She went to a birthday party this weekend and there were about 20 kids there. She said they were playing a game and one of the girls stands up to play and one of the boys screams, "She's wearing a thong!" and stands up and pulls her sweatpants down to her ankles. And the girl turns bright red, pulls her pants up, and then just sits down quietly. Well, Bean was not having it and said, "Bro, are you serious? You can't just assault somebody like that." And this little twerp laughed at my goddaughter and said, "Sit down, little girl. It's 2023. Did you miss the part where we don't have to ask permission anymore?" She said, "Okay, just because you're mad at your dad for making you play sports doesn't mean you have to be a walking red flag." And he said, "Don't worry, girl, you're too low on my list to get my attention." And she said that she told him she was going to go upstairs to tell the adults. And he looked at her and said, "Do your worst." And she said, "Bro, our teachers already have, you dumb fuck." My goddaughter Bean called me in tears after leaving school early today. There was a boy in her class sat behind her who was doing that stupid fucking boy laugh, like, "Ooh!" And he yells up to the teacher, I think someone brought their lunch to class because it smells like rotten fish." And she said he interrupted the class multiple times with these stupid fucking jokes, so she finally turned around and gave him a look. And that's when he looks at my goddaughter and says, "I have a joke. What's the difference between a girl at that time of the month and a rabid dog?" "Lipstick." "Oh!" She said, "You're disgusting." He said, "I'm disgusting? You're the one leaking through your jeans." And that's when she realized why he'd been laughing all class, and now why other people are laughing at her. So she runs out of the room, embarrassed, and calls her grandma to come pick her up. And now she's on the phone with me, sobbing, saying, "Uncle Mikey, I don't know how I'm going to go back to school because this boy is so mean and will not let it go." Her friends already texted her that he was going around the school telling the story that she was bleeding all over the place and stunk up the place, trying to give her the nickname Tuna. She said, "Uncle Mikey, I just hate him. He's greasy and he bullies other people because he's bigger than them, so he can't." I said, "Oh, he's that kid. Bean, don't let someone who hates their body make you hate yours. And I give you full fucking permission to hit below the belt. You tell him, bro, it looks like God sculpted you out of uncooked pizza dough, bitch. It's okay that you're single. You'll eventually meet your type. Type 2. Bro looks like he's going to be the future head of a crime syndicate. Trafficking pork rinds." Periods happen. Let's not make fun of them.